Tens of thousands pack the royal arena. Down in the dust, a runaway slave stands defenseless, and the heavy wooden gates are slowly grinding open. Out of the darkness bursts 400 pounds of pure muscle. A starved golden lion charges into the sunlight, closing the distance in seconds. The crowd prepares for a lethal strike. But the lion slides to a halt. It drops its aggression entirely and begins playfully licking the condemned man's face. Up in the royal box, the king freezes. The roaring crowd suddenly falls dead silent. No one present has a framework for what they are seeing. This single moment of peace has neutralized an environment built for public slaughter. It bypasses the established rules of the arena. How does a captive man neutralize an apex predator without a weapon, a shield, or any means of defense? This diagram models reciprocal altruism. It tracks a hidden behavioral loop where an action by one party creates a biological debt in another. To find its origin, we rewind the timeline, heading into the forest to see the choice that started it all. This chart plots the metrics of Androcles' life in captivity. He was pushed to the absolute limits of human endurance. If there were 10 buckets to carry, he carried 11. Yet his autonomy remained at 0. His master's demands were infinite, regardless of physical exhaustion. Eventually, the weight of the labor exceeded his will to stay. Under the cover of moonlight, he slipped away. He traded a life of predictable cruelty for the unmapped dangers of the wilderness. The sun-baked courtyards were replaced by shadows, owls, and the eerie sounds of the deep woods. He was now in an environment where he was no longer a worker, but potential prey. Entering the forest was a survival gamble, but by leaving the system that exploited him, he had inadvertently placed himself in a position to discover a different way to survive. Deep in the trees, a roar shakes the air. But as Androcles freezes, Ism changes. The predatory bellow drops into a pathetic, pained whimper. He finds a golden lion paralyzed beneath a giant tree. The cause of its distress is visible. A jagged thorn is lodged deep inside its paw, preventing it from walking or hunting. Watching the animal, Androcles recognizes his own memory of pain. He realizes that despite the danger, the creature before him is experiencing a type of suffering he knows intimately. Helping the beast requires an immense risk. He slowly approaches, takes hold of the massive paw, and pulls. The lion's behavior shifts instantly. It doesn't strike. Instead, it wags its tail like a puppy, moving from a threat to an ally. By reaching into the jaws of danger to relieve another's pain, the slave changed the relationship between predator and prey into one of mutual recognition. Their shared peace is short-lived. A patrol of soldiers eventually tracks the runaway into the woods. The newly formed bond between the man and the lion is suddenly confronted by the rigid force of the state. Spears and torches outmatch them. They are swiftly captured, forcefully separated from each other, and dragged back in cages. Localized acts of mercy can change an individual's life, but they remain vulnerable to the larger power structures that seek to control them. Which brings us back to the arena. The king, watching the lion sit obediently beside the prisoner, demands an explanation for this anomaly. This flowchart maps the logic Androcles presents to the court. He links the mercy shown in the forest directly to the lion's refusal to kill him in the arena today. The king recognizes the pattern. The debt created in the woods has been paid in the arena, making the original execution sentence impossible to carry out. The king issues a pardon for both of them. The crowd, having seen the evidence of the bond, erupts into cheers. The evidence of Androcles' mercy was so undeniable that it forced a change in the king's judgment, allowing a single act of kindness to override a public decree. Now a free man, Androcles watches the lion return to the woods. They are both back in their original environment, but their chances of survival have changed. Whenever Androcles visits the forest, the lion runs to meet him, greeting his old friend with the same enthusiasm they shared in the arena. This ongoing reunion demonstrates how an act of relief can become a recurring resource. In a harsh world, choosing to help another is a form of insurance. It is a choice that can reappear to provide safety long after the initial action has been forgotten.